Hey guys, Andrew Shrout. I'm here in the sideboard. I'm sitting with Greg Hatch. How's it going, Greg?
Excellent.
So you have shown up with Merfolk in the legacy portion.
Surprisingly,
of the
yeah. I love this deck. I've been for 12 years, so
Yeah.
for me, it's just like right in my wheelhouse. I love this deck.
So Merfolk, a deck you've been playing on and off for a long time, but certainly this is not just your average Merfolk deck. You've kind of put your own spin on it.
Yeah. I took a little bit from a lot of Merfolk's history. You know, it has gone through a lot of changes, big changes over time. Like the addition of True Name was a big change. Lorwyn was obviously huge, and there was like Cavern of Souls that really threw a wrench into things. So it's changed a lot over the years, and this version is probably the most like deviant from the past.
Sure.
So what I've done is I added 8 man lands. So the Mistress Factory is not so much worse than Mutavault because it's so rare that the Lords live, honestly.
Okay.
And so like even when they do, you don't really need a lot of help if the Lords are there and they're helping you out. So and the Mistress also, you know, it turns out Mutavault's quite a good worker, you know.
Sure.
And so you can pump him up to like a 3/3 or a 4/4, and you know that snaps off a Snapcaster if they're not paying attention.
Right.
And you know what's good about it is I can play Standstill now with 8 man lands.
Okay.
But I'm not playing Aether Vial.
So yeah, there's actually a lot of weird tweaks. Yeah, you know, Standstill, a card that used to be like a ubiquitous 4 of in Merfolk. Nowadays, I guess some people just aren't playing it at all. The original point of Standstill was to be playing Aether Vial.
That's right.
But you're off of Aether Vial.
And I've been off Aether Vial for a while. I've been trying to tout this ever since Cavern came out. You just don't need the uncounterability. True Name kind of muddles up the works of what you want Aether Vial to be on all the time.
Sure.
And you know, people are just smart about it. They're boarding in Ancient Grudge. They're Abrupt Decay if they need to, and then if they don't need to. And the top decks is just so miserable because it's not blue, and it lets me play 22 lands.
Sure.
So I get and more blue sources technically. You know, I get like 14 instead of 12.
Right. With the Caverns.
Without Wastelands, exactly.
Okay.
But Tidal Warrior, it really settles the score here.
Yeah. No, this is the other big change that this is a card that hasn't really seen play in Merfolk. You know, in like a decade or something like that, outside of your builds.
I mean, back before Merfolk was even like, you know, they had Lord of Atlantis and no Master around, and no Silverkill at that. People just jamming it for value.
Like when it was Manta Rider and Tidal Warrior, just like whichever one drops
they're
happened to
playing
be
White
in
Blue
print.
with White Knight or something. Yeah, it's back to those days. But the Standstill allows you to have a board presence early and benefit from it. So the man lands are good at that. But the man lands take away from your blue count, so Tidal Warrior helps there. But that's the least of what it does.
Yeah.
Without Aether Vial, you have 8 1-drops now. So Aether Vial, you know, if you don't play on turn 1, you have something else to do.
Yeah.
That's nice. You had that with Kosi's Trickster before, but I noticed the Kosi's Trickster, while it got big and it was nice, I wanted something that had more like tangible impact. And I know that sounds weird talking about Tidal Warrior, so here you go. I'll go through the motions here.
Yeah.
I had a guy pass with Brainstorm fetch up with a land up. He goes Brainstorm. In response, I hit the fetch.
Sure.
Now or never. You know, you want to bolt my Lord or not? You know, you
Right.
shuffle or don't do anything. You can go turn 1 Tidal, turn 2 Lord of Atlantis off a Mutavault. You can turn their Wasteland into an island, so they have to hit either one of your Mutavaults on 3 lands, so you can attack with the other one.
Okay.
You can hit their planes on your draw step if you draw a Lord. So you draw a Lord in your draw step, hit their planes, so they have to Terminus now or never.
All right.
Right? So then you can decide whether or not to play the Lord and then Mutavault in, which is just, you know, it's Miracles that give you all the difference. Hit their fetch against Miracles, so they have to shuffle right now, so I know what they have on top with with a counterbalance.
Yeah.
You can, of course, the only reason I'm playing it in a general sense is to beat Death and Taxes. It does against Death and Taxes and previously Maverick. You'd have these situations where you'd have 20 damage on board and can't win. Every game it ended up like this. You play Lord, guy, and they just don't care.
Yeah.
And so now they have to respect you, and you can go from 0 to 60 in in 2 seconds.
Yeah. The original purpose of playing Lord of Atlantis with cards that make your opponent's lands islands.
Right, but I've never used it today. I mean, I went 5-1. I just lost to Elves, which is an unwinnable matchup.
Sure.
But like, I've beaten everything across the punch. Like I beat Bug, which I'll talk about later. But it was nice because I kept them off of him and Liliana forever.
Yeah.
Just couldn't cast it because I just kept hitting the same land over and over again.
Okay.
And there's so much. There's you get their red source against Show and Tell, so they can't sneak attack on their upkeep.
Sure.
You hit Ancient Tomb, so you know that's just fine. If they go, this was the best one, man. They went show and tell with a fetch up.
Sure.
And usually, if you have Wasteland, they sack first.
Uh-huh.
so that they can pay ahead of time.
Right.
But if you don't Wasteland, they just keep it for the brainstorms in case it doesn't resolve.
Yeah.
So I Tidal Warrior the fetch and response, and that feels a lot like Wasteland.
Right.
So they sack it, you know, because it's like autopilot, like who's going to come to the right conclusion to just let it resolve there? I mean, it seems like a weird place to be. So they're like, I'll just sack it. days in response. So like,
Yeah.
so now it was live when it wasn't.
Yeah, while the fetch trigger or activation's on the side.
Yeah, and everybody's used to the Wasteland trick to doing the same thing, but the Tidal Warriors, like, I had no business being in that game, and so like it was just, you get these weird edges that aren't necessarily coming from technically it's good, but it's the way of the beast in autopilot.
It's kind of like a one for one / Rishadan Port / Falter split card.
I saved a Mutavault from Source the Plowshares. He had mana up, so I turned mine into an island and I bounced it with Daze and replayed it.
Okay.
I bounced.
That's great.
He had 2 counter spells and a counterbalance on anything he wanted, right?
Yeah.
So I cast Lord of Atlantis with my Cavern. Okay. Daze it.
Because it's uncounterable.
Bouncing, turning my Cavern into an island, bouncing the Cavern, replaying Cavern on Illusion, play Phantom Image on my Mutavault to play around Terminus.
Okay.
Right? So so he had all these counter spells, and Daze, counter or don't, it doesn't matter. Like, I get to bounce down that anyway.
Sure.
So all over the map.
So Tidal Warrior, just unsung MVP.
It's not what it does. It's what the opponent doesn't realize it can do, and they can't keep it all in head.
What it threatens to do, and what it can sneak around and do.
They don't realize that their Pyroblast isn't live,
Sure.
So like, I can't Pyroblast now, It's like, oh man. So like that kind of stuff is just huge.
All right. And then the one other tweak in the main deck that's kind of a deviation from what I think is kind of the accepted norm of Merfolk. You were not playing any Wastelands.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I did this last time at the Las Vegas Invitational, and I've done it ever since. Wasteland is basically like Wastelanding yourself. And I say that it's not actually like that, but it feels a lot like it when you're playing a card like True Name Nemesis, especially without Aether Vial. Aether Vial and Wasteland go together like peas and carrots, because you want to be able to use the colorless mana. But if you don't have a lot of uses for colorless, and you're already playing a lot of the man lands like I'm playing, all of a sudden it's a lot less like a split card and a lot more like a sinkhole. And this deck just doesn't want a sinkhole that costs you a land drop. Okay. So like if you have this, if you have the split card effect of it, then it's totally fine. Otherwise, you don't really get much use out of it, and people just play around it.
Sure.
I mean, like, you'll ponder in Rug, you'll leave the land at the 3rd card down, and if they Wasteland you, then you don't shuffle. If they do Wasteland you, if they don't Wasteland you, then you do shuffle.
Sure.
So like they can make it so that it doesn't actually have an impact beyond tempo.
Right.
Like it's not going to shut people out of the game at these larger legacy tournaments. People just are prepared for it. So if you can't use a tempo, then what are you doing? You have to go Lord, and then Lord Wasteland's too late.
Sure, it was a card that's at its best when you're already ahead and want to keep land parity.
And that's if they don't have Green Sun and Death Right, and then you're just feeling silly.
Okay. And then you kind of alluded earlier to you had a really cool game against Bug.
Yep.
Another card. This is kind of the last card that I think that kind of raises eyebrows. Not because it seems weird. It actually seems really sweet just looking at it on paper.
It was sweet.
Out of the sideboard, you have 3 Ninja the Deep Hours.
Ninja of Going Deep Hours. Yeah. It's the sweetest card against Bug. So I wanted something to beat Abrupt Decay, and I tried it all. We're talking Sower, but they left in Disfigure and Dismember. It's frustrating. I want to play Control Magic over Threads, and I'm like, I just got to beat. I played 3 Mist Hollow Griffin, 3 Relic of Progenitus to try to beat Bug, to grind him out.
Right.
But I found this way was the best, especially with Standstill, is playing man lands that are just, you can't Abrupt Decay the man land.
Yeah.
So you attack with that. They don't block with their Deathrite Shaman, or and hopefully you can interact with their Tarmogoyf or whatever. And then you play Ninja, and that's 4 casting costs, so they can't Abrupt Decay that either.
Right.
And so so they'll brainstorm keeping Abrupt Decays, and all of a sudden they find themselves with cards they can't use at all.
Yeah.
There's not a single target on the board. And and what's good about that is after it hits, they have to actually play spells from their hand, which means they don't get to have that freedom of motion that Brainstorm allows. They have to actually commit cards to the board, which lets me actually do something without feeling like I'm behind, because I don't have Brainstorm to do that same thing. And also, of course, Ninja goes right through Standstill, which is a total blowout.
Yeah.
And with 8 mana lands, they can't Liliana you. So you just activate and sack it to Liliana. They can't even Abrupt Decay you out of it. They're just, you can even do make their Wasteland into an island, so they can't Wasteland when you make a creature.
Yeah.
So it's really just I guess they would sack the Tidal Warrior, but either way, Ninja was the way to beat that matchup.
Definitely,
it's good against everything else too. Bug was at the beginning of it, but it's super good against Ad Nauseam Tendrils and Show and Tell. They can't beat these cards.
Just sticking a threat that lets you keep generating card advantage to actually interact with them.
It's like having 7 standstills, but and these ones actually you better hurry up. You don't have a lot of time.
Yeah. Sounds legit.
Yeah.
All right. So you're off to a 5-1 start in Legacy.
That's right. Losing to Elves was pretty frustrating.
Yeah. Like you mentioned, I think that's probably like a close to unwinnable matchup.
Absolutely.
What are you hoping to play against, and what are you hoping to avoid with this deck?
Okay, so Show and Tell is, generally speaking, one of my favorite matchups. It's not necessarily the best matchup, but it's the matchup I feel most comfortable playing. I play it the most.
Yeah.
Stoneforge decks in general, I feel favored against. If they play blue and they're playing fair, I feel good. Especially with Standstill and Manlands, I like that on the play, they won't even be able to play Stoneforge without me having access to Force, Daze, and Standstill to prevent it.
Yep.
So that's like, a bunch. Plus with Tidal Warrior, there's no weirdness around me being able to have Island Walk, which is huge for them playing like one island and then dazing it back to their hand.
Sure.
To try to play around with that. So I can make sure I can go right past the Batter Skull and race it.
Okay.
What I've noticed is that Curse Catcher is a great card to have against most of these common matchups, obviously, but I've been imaging my Curse Catcher aggressively.
Okay.
Just always. Because I was thinking that, people always image their Silver Girl Adept.
Right.
But that gives you maybe a 10% or chance to draw a counter, 20% chance to draw a counter. But it gives you a 100% chance to draw a Daze if you copy Curse Catcher.
That's all right. That makes sense.
And so that's been a huge game changer because they have to brainstorm away lands.
Sure.
Normally, but they can't now.
Right, because
so
you
it has
just have
impact.
extra taxing
They have to keep the
density
lands
there.
and not the blue cards.
Okay.
So that's why I like the Show and Tell matchup. So the Death and Taxes is the actual worst.
Sure.
If that's and Elves of course is pretty bad.
Okay.
Death and Taxes at least is not as bad though with Tidal Warrior involved. But otherwise, blue decks that play fair, blue basically I don't want to play against non-blue Stoneforge decks.
Okay.
That's the way I put it.
All right, makes sense. All right, well, you're off, as I mentioned, off to a fantastic start in Legacy.
Love
had a little bit of a hiccup in Standard.
Oh, that's a nice way to put it. Yeah, you're very generous.
But still plenty of a chance to go deep and kind of make your mark in Legacy.
Absolutely.
I'll be rooting for you, man.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining me. Stick around. We've got plenty more coverage coming of the Invitational here in New Jersey.
Enjoy.